One of the biggest decisions on this build was to put an Espar heater in. An Espar heater basically takes from the Sprinter's diesel fuel tank and powers itself through that with a 12-volt fan, which runs off the batteries. But it's a great way to heat these Sprinters in the cold because you're not carrying around propane. I didn't want to deal with propane. So I decided on the Espar heater. I had seen online, got some pointers from people online on how to install the Espar. Everybody online said how difficult, like how they struggle with the install of the heater itself. And to tell you the truth, I really didn't have that big a problem installing the heater itself. So you do have to drill some, you have to take the front seat off, and then you got to drill there's a pattern, you put the pattern down, and make sure that it fits underneath there, and you got to angle it a certain way and make sure that that's good. And then you got to pop a hole on the outside for the vent, which isn't that big of a deal, and run an exhaust. You run an exhaust down out the bottom of the Sprinter, and then it will go and exhaust out the side. And then there's also an intake that goes from the unit down outside and then up and in, and then there's a wiring harness that goes up and over. All of it went pretty smooth. I read online that you just plug it right into the auxiliary diesel port that's included in every Sprinter. Well, I already had the unit installed before I even went to look where it plugs into the diesel tank. And I get down there's no auxiliary port. For some reason, my model didn't have the auxiliary diesel port. So I started searching online, and I found out that I had to drop the fuel tank down. After dropping the fuel tank, there's a port on the top that unscrews, and then you pull the whole unit out that houses the fuel pump. And then inside of there, I had to add a standpipe. And if you do this, it's a nightmare. It was not fun. So I added a standpipe, and then I got it all back together. And then I said, you know what? I realized that I made the standpipe all the way to the bottom of the tank, where I realized that I want it to be at least an inch from the bottom. I'd rather the heater stop working than my vehicle not start. So I ended up taking it all back apart, cutting it down, and I made it so it's an inch from the bottom of the tank. That way, I know that I'm not going to use up all my fuel and be stranded somewhere. If you haven't watched the van tour, go take a look at that. I'll put a link to it up here.